So these are some simple and complex concepts that I've struggled to understand. And first one I'll say is basal versus the resting energy expenditure. For some reason, I still struggle to tell the difference between the two. And when you think about it, it's very easy to mix the two up. So let's use an example. So you get $30 as an allowance, and you must use it in one day. Basal energy expenditure is the first place that you go and spend your money. Basal energy expenditure is a low-cost store. Basal energy expenditure provides energy in order to breathe. The minimum amount also allows cell production and proper circulation. It has a low expenditure number, or you spend less money here because it's just for basic functions. Now you make your way to resting energy expenditure. You spend the remaining $20 here. Resting energy expenditure is more complex and less restrictive, so it requires more money or a larger expenditure number. With this type of expenditure, low-effort activities are put into account when finding calorie intake. These low-effort activities include sitting, standing, and other light movements. You're still struggling to identify the two? Think of it this way. You waste more energy or could feel somewhat tired doing low-effort activities, and you aren't tired, so low expenditure, when you're just breathing. No, the Academy will identify a homeostasis with resting energy expenditure. Now let's talk about another type of expenditure. This one is much easier to learn than the first two we discussed. Think of this word when I say it. Thermal effects of food. Notice the word food. This expenditure is the amount of energy it takes to metabolize food. So this includes absorption of vitamins and minerals, breaking down macronutrients, and other typical needs when your digestion occurs. Typically, it represents 10% of someone's total calorie intake. So let's talk about some other things that I've struggled to understand in the past. One of them is hydrolysis. Hydrolysis was something I hadn't heard up until I studied for the test. I'm sure it was taught in my class at some point, but for me, it's hard to remember new concepts. I was born with a brain injury, and I suffer with short-term memory loss, so learning a lot of information at once doesn't stick well with me. My hope is that if anybody struggles to learn like me, then maybe it'll take them less chances of passing the test, because it's taken me a lot. So back to what we were discussing. When I think of hydrolysis, I think something is breaking down, like osteoblast and osteoclast. I think clast is similar to hydrolysis because somebody or something is being broken down. For example, enzymatic hydrolysis is the breakdown of food. This means that enzymes are all breaking down food. Enzymes provide us with what was being broken down. And here's another one. I get hematocrit and hemoglobin mixed up. I try to make a trick, so stating that oxygen is related to the word, and that has most of the O's. That's hemoglobin. So I know that red blood cells carry oxygen to tissue and other body systems. Hematocrit is the percentage of volume of red blood cells compared to all total blood in the body. The RD1 and Dawn is really good at these tricks and has drastically increased my score when I used her the first time. And if you found this type of learning style easier to understand, where you're focusing on like letters and numbers and words, then this whole letters and making connections is definitely like a big part of her teaching. So I'd recommend looking into her study program if you're finding that to be helpful for the trick I just did. Obviously, the example was not used by her, and I'm obviously not going to add any examples of hers. I won't lie, she is one of the most expensive ones, but she does have a program that's challenged me the most, and I did have the highest test score after taking the test from her. No, the Academy may associate hematocrit with erythrocytes, or erythrocytes, I think that's how you say it. But don't be nervous. All the Academy is doing is specifying a type of cell in the blood. The cell is related to oxygen transporting through the body. Another one, chylomicrons. Why does it stumble me? I'll never know. Came up with this idea. Chylomicrons cruise with fat and cholesterol to the liver. Or, if you want a full answer, a lipoprotein is created in the small intestines. This lipoprotein is created in response to eating a meal. Chylomicrons are responsible for transporting fats and cholesterol, also known as lipids, through the liver and other areas via the lymphatic system and blood. So they cruise with fat and cholesterol to a specific place. I just use liver as a common example. Another problem I've said in the past is that I don't look for synonyms when answering questions. But I've started to change my study habits, and I found that it's been helping an awful lot. So here's an example. I pulled this from the Academy. Reflective listening, indicating a client was heard by stating one's understanding of what the client has said. Now, I see and use it more than before making these videos. Listening and heard, both synonyms. Reflective and saying what the client has said, synonyms.